Well, hello and welcome to the skating lesson. This is Dave Lease. I'm joined by Jonathan Byer. And
Hi, friends. How are you?
Good. Due to a lockout scheduling situation, we are going to just record this over the phone for everyone to try to get together over the busy holiday season. So, Jonathan.
You know why, Dave? Because you're a winner and you're making an adjustment. Not a loser making an excuse. So bravo to you.
Bravo. Well, Jonathan, there's some news coming out today. I don't know if it's super surprising that Hanyu isn't competing at Japanese Nationals, but it appears that the injury is more serious than we initially thought. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, the ankle tendon and bone injuries, so that's a little unfortunate, yes, maybe more than we thought in the initial sprain. And it's going to be his second in a row skip Nationals because, of course, he had the flu last year.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they knew this but didn't want ticket sales to decline or something, so they, just kind of kept the news out of the media. I'm glad he's taking the rest. I mean, because the worst thing he could do is try to come back too soon.
Yeah.
But I'm unsure as to when it's too late. Right?
Yeah, I had heard last week that he wasn't skating yet. I think that's been a little noted in one or two of the reports, although not really highlighted. I know that Brian thinks that he needs about 5 solid weeks of training to get Hanyu ready for the Olympics. Surely he's working off ice, and remember, obviously, Nancy Kerrigan was off the ice before the 94 Olympics, though those technical requirements were slightly less than
just slightly, yeah.
4 or 5 quads in a program.
Right.
I don't think he would need to compete before then. There were articles mentioning that he could compete at the 4 Continents Championships. Obviously, I don't think that that's really necessary for him.
Well, especially with repeats in the programs, I find it less necessary for him to, test run the program. And again, he's such a competitor that he certainly knows how to adapt in a situation like that. Now, they'll have the team competition. So if he is truly out of all competitions until then, you have to wonder, so do they want him rested in training longer so they don't put him in the team event, or do they want to get his, give him some practice time in that team event?
My take on this is that I don't consider Japan really at a risk for medaling in this event.
Correct.
So I would give him I know that it's an outside shot always, but I would allow him, if he wants to do one or both programs, I think he has earned the right to do that. And who's to say that he won't skate well in them? But if he wanted more time to train and get prepared, my thing is maybe they'll keep him home for as long as possible before he has to practice in front of all of the international media at the Olympic Games. So that's
fortunately, his mental resolve is very good. So that's not really an element. I think for me the concern is actually based on the health versus where our friend Anna Pogorelaya, who has formally withdrawn, she's always had these back issues and they have affected her, but so were some other things that were plaguing her, not just physical,
Yeah.
So I think that for him, it's literally down to doctor's notes in how this goes,
Also, you have to think they're going to be taking out the quad left. There probably won't be a quad loop. And I don't think he needs high technical content to win. I remember when I saw Plushenko a couple months ago, he was saying that Hanyu should go clean. He thought he would do a couple of quads. I think he said about 3 quads would win the Olympics. And
I agree. And 3 is certainly nothing to scoff at. And I hope that what we've seen is, and again, it's sort of been a concept at large that we've been discussing this whole Grand Prix season, which is how much is the Grand Prix test run time? And of course, Law felt that much more it should be respected, but I think it's been interesting to see all these guys probably swing the pendulum too far and just see what is capable and what is not capable, and now swing it back so we can have a relatively conservative Olympic Games, compared to what was being tried, at random Grand Prix events, which were really, beyond human. So
Yeah, we saw Nathan trying to go for, I think, 6 quads at last year's World Championships, and that did not go well for him. We saw a lot of mistakes there. Obviously, there were boot problems. He's had equipment problems in the past. No more costume issues. Veer Wang is taking care of that. But
exactly.
I'm wondering, if you're Raphael and Nathan, how are you going to adjust your strategy, knowing that Javier and Hanyu have, I would say, an advantage in the components? So how many quads do you need to do to make up that advantage?
To compensate, absolutely. But I thought it was interesting when our beloved Sandra was mentioning it can very much be about the performance. Mm-hmm. So if he is able to deliver, I fear if the goal truly is to end up on top of that podium, as difficult as that may seem from our standpoint, I think Nathan has to go for broke, in my opinion, because it's just, when I was watching Spanish Nationals, just like watching Javi skate both programs, even though there were flaws, for sure, but just the general skating style reminded me of those old guys on the outdoor rinks. There's something delightfully vintage about his non-IJS feeling at times about his program that just means more, He
does emote to the audience. He performs. He's extensive show experience. Right. And that is something that does pay off. One thing I would think about Javi is that he has to hit the triple axels. We saw him struggle with the triple axels. Also, this is kind of an exhibition. I didn't see many people in the stands. There's not really pressure on him.
No one at Spanish Nationals. It was pretty sad.
That has to be strange because you feel pressure to do well. You know it's going to be videotaped and viewed by judges and your competitors, and you want to do well from that standpoint. You're not getting the same adrenaline rush from the crowd, so that's a little bit of a strange feeling, I think, for a lot of these skaters when they have these smaller nationals.
Yeah, it was also happening in Italy. Very few spectators, and France, less so also.
And he's someone who does well when the stakes are quite high. I thought he looked trained. The first 2 quads were gorgeous. Then he seemed to lose a little focus. But I think he's been working hard, and I expect we'll see a stronger outing at Europeans and a peak performance at the Olympics for him. So
I hope so. And it makes me wonder also about Hanyu, who has often peaked at the Grand Prix final, which is understandable. No one is expecting these people to be at the highest level for the entire season. It's just physically not possible. So I'm curious if, in a way, this helps Hanyu.
I think it could. I think it could because he's going to have to lower the technical ante. And I think that Hanyu could do 2 quad toes and 1 or 2 quad salchows along with 2 great triple axels and do a really great performance, and maybe that helps him. He's been challenging himself so much technically. Dialing it back could be a blessing in disguise. I still think he's the favorite to win the Olympic gold medal. I don't really think that this changes it at this point. That sounds nuts.
Right.
But I
agree. And in sheer ability, I think Javi is very much in the equation. I would love to see Javi just deliver the best performances he can, because I was so responding to his programs more than I had previously at this Nationals, maybe after seeing everyone else for a while. But it's the mental game. It's the focus game. That'll be tricky for him. So
yeah, and it was interesting because we saw Papadakis and Cizeron and Carolina Kostner. They all competed at the Grand Prix final, and then having to compete again the next week. Very tiring, very mentally draining. Obviously, we used to see Michelle Kwan go back-to-back sometimes, Skate America, Skate Canada. Grand Prix final, Nationals, a bit more exhausting, especially with the emotional and physical pressure that they were under, especially coming over the showdown with Virtue and Moyer. We did see a slip on nothing by Gabby in the showdown.
Which to me just seemed like utter fatigue.
Yes.
Right? Like just complete, to me that was their exhaustion.
Yeah, I didn't make much of it. I know people think the score was too high. Yes.
It's nationals. Show me one where that doesn't happen.
It's also French nationals. They did get almost a perfect protocol. And
some people had to really get tough with those 9.75.
Yes. I mean, obviously, just look, they're going to get a great score. Nationals inflation. The ice dance scores have been pushed so high this season, last couple of seasons before the end of the year. This seems no different. We did see this a little bit before the Sochi games. I'm wondering, will Virtue and Moyer get a perfect protocol at Canadian Nationals? Because at this point, I would expect
Canada would be silly almost not to.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the game here. Yes.
Yeah.
Why have judges?
And you were pointing out Meryl and Charlie, their scores going into Sochi. You know,
I believe they had a perfect, if not almost perfect, protocol. Certainly, the GOE was perfect. I don't know about the high and the low being thrown out there, but they had all 10s in components, plus 3s for all of their elements with that free dance. So you have to think this has happened before. This is a little bit of gamesmanship. And it's all part of the fun. I think going in, Europeans will obviously be a little bit more telling for Papadakis and Cizeron. But
also interesting for the I steal your segues because sometimes when I see the videos we've done, your segues, Dave, are my favorite thing. I've gone back and watched some of your interviews, and the way you just pick up something that's been said and turn it into it's just brilliant. Okay. It reminds me of the animated comedy Archer. Sometimes they link it the same way. Okay, so the ladies here in France.
Yes.
What a political statement this is.
Yes.
We had Lorraine, who was second in the short and third in the long program. So I was one of those guys that I saw only the scores and the placements. And I thought, well, she really screwed the pooch. She must have imploded. And I went back and I watched her free program, and Dave, it was kind of the best she skated. Like it was surprisingly good, and I watched her free skate first. So I was like, well, now I need to go watch the other one.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't the best amount of time I've ever spent. I watched the third place overall, Leah Sadana, and she beat Lorraine in the free program. And Dave, it was bad. I mean, sure, fine, that's like a young French talent or something, but for that to have beaten Lorraine in the free was completely baffling. She had rolled shoulders, a hunchy landing. She could have been skating to any music. I was working really hard as an audience member. I was like, I don't know if this is a happy program, a sad program. It was just not very good. And then I watched May, who obviously won, and she's kind of a guilty pleasure, I would say, for some of us.
Well, when you do a costume change, you become a guilty pleasure.
And you know what? It doesn't even go smoothly. That's the problem. So there's a great clip on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt where Maya Rudolph is portraying Dionne Warwick at a New Jersey Hurricane telethon performance, and she comes back from a quick change after the commercial break, but she's stuck with her Spanx over her head. And I was like, this may happen at any moment during May's program because it's always clumsy and it's really, kind of second-rate choreographer, but she kind of has a fan favorite. She has explosive, exciting energy and style. This, to me, was just so political, whatever this statement was. And I'm intrigued as to why.
French National seems to have more of a political bend than many of the other nationals. Obviously, I think there are probably discussions about the score for the ice dancers.
Right. Well, but to me, that politicking is to be expected. But the pushing down of Lorraine in the scores and the promotion of May just kind of confused me a bit because.
So 4 years ago, we saw Papadakis and Cizeron not make the Olympic team.
Right.
There was rumors that DDA was really not happy with their training or coaching situation at that point, and they didn't get the scores. That's one of the reasons they were 13th at the Worlds that year. They probably would have been a little bit higher. Still a meteoric rise the next year, but there was some pushing down of them and certainly not a lot of support by DDA. So you have to wonder. I don't know the individual politics here of, her decision to go to Colorado. I know May Bernice has worked with Shanetta Foley, who worked with Tarasova, but I would say that there's been a lot of discussions happening.
Yeah, it's clear something's going on. In the same way, I was unsure why he relinquished the second pair spot. But again, he must have a reason that all of this is happening. I'm just unsure as to what it might be in this situation. So.
Yeah, I know Phil Hirsch has commented a lot about the Federation's finances over the years, and that could be perhaps they didn't think the second pair was
They just can't afford to send non-factor teams. Yeah,
well,
which I guess
Canadians,
is sad, but
the Canadians would say that's all the money he's using to pay off the judges.
Fine.
But
and then I blocked them on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what did you think about Carolina Kostner? Speaking of ladies, we saw a triple flip, triple toe in the short program at Italian Nationals. I saw a triple Lutz and a triple flip in the free skate. She didn't do the triple there. One fall in a triple Salchow. But to me, seeing 2 weeks in a row, strong performances by Kostner, she doesn't want to peak right now. One fall in the free skate, I wasn't too worried for her.
No, one fall in the free skate, and then she went and did it afterwards.
Yes.
After she took all these pictures and bows with the Flower Girls, because she's so sweet. She must be so amazing for that federation to have. And then, to her to go be like, no, I got this. I don't know, something about her. I feel like she has a strategy. Yes. People can be like, oh my gosh, triple toe, double toe in the Grand Prix final, blah, blah, blah. She's got a slow burn kind of approach here. And Nationals is just the time to do that.
This is the fourth or fifth time we've seen her, up to technical content at the end of the year, which is very rare for skaters. Usually it doesn't happen when we hear about these planned increases. Although
usually it's just smoke and mirrors. Oh, she fell on purpose. That's a plan. We're working towards something greater. And you're like, no, you're not. But Carolina really does seem to be. Although, gosh, her entrance on the Lutz was so clean and clear. But I don't know if you looked at her arms. It looks like she was, and now we're doing this over the phone, so I can't imitate it. She looks like some sort of like Broadway dancer that's like doing a dance with her elbows back and forth.
It wasn't really make that edge clear. Is that what you're saying, Jonathan?
She was definitely like, and I'm going to show you the edge. Here we go. And I was like, okay, that's a unique approach there. But it worked. It totally worked.
It totally worked, and she has the Europeans before the Olympics. I believe she is planning on going. I don't think she needs to go for her Olympic spot, but I think if that's in her training plan, I think we're going to see a great swan song to her career. I don't know if she's planning on going to the Worlds afterwards, but...
Well, I would especially think so because it's in Milan.
Dave Lee's biggest idiot comment of the year. Yes, she's going to Worlds. But I do think that she will peak at the Olympic Games, and I don't think we've seen the last stand of Carolina. I think I think this is obviously probably her last season. I think it's probably safe to assume, or her last chance at an Olympic medal. Shoot me if I'm wrong, but I do think that she will. I think she's going to rise to the occasion, and it's going to be so interesting because we've thought about Caitlin Osman being the one to really challenge these Russian ladies, especially Zagitova and Medvedeva. But what about Carolina Kostner? She certainly has.
Well, and I think it had to be a motivating factor, her PCS at the Grand Prix final. To be like, oh, man, you guys are really about me.
I am about her, too.
All right.
I like her programs. I think she skates with maturity, like a real woman on the ice, Jonathan. I'm dying it.
She is, but here's the thing with all these national videos that we found: France, Italy, Spain. There are a lot of stationary camera work or strange camera work. So we're often seeing different viewpoints of these programs. Like especially a lot of the Javi ones, I missed a lot of the cute muggingness from the front because we were looking at the back end, which, mind you, was just fine. But, I mean, it was interesting. Carolina's programs, for me, were a little less sophisticated to me here. I know that's like blasphemy, and obviously she's exquisite and a stunning artist and doing beautiful, beautiful things. I think I prefer the Satoko programs over the Carolina programs. They're a bit more complex.
They are a little bit, I think, more emotionally nuanced. I think, look, the Celine Dion is very effective. It's a very nice piece. It's a good short program. It's it gets the job done.
I think it's beautiful, not a masterpiece.
Not
Does
a
that
masterpiece.
make sense? Yeah.
Neither one is a masterpiece. They're both very good, but not masterpieces. I think they're better than what her rivals are producing in many cases. But when you start to get towards which artist could get that bronze medal, Sotoko, Osmond, Costner, there's room to award the components of other skaters. And I don't think that Carolina's long is the best long that she's ever done, but I think
beautiful.
It's a good long.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
It's a lower 9 performance. It's a lower 9 rather than a higher 9. It's not getting the ice dance scores for me.
I mean, who is? No one could ever.
Yes.
How about the interesting? Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask you. There's been a little bit of controversy about Zagreb, about the judging of ice dance, and it comes down. We didn't pay too close attention to Zagreb, but because of the scores of the Spanish ice dance teams, the winners of their national championships, Smart and Diaz, are not going to the Olympics. They will be sent to the World Championships.
Now, here's the confusing factor for me is why, when so many other people will count Europeans as a factor, why is the Spanish Federation not thinking of Europeans as a major factor?
I'm a little bit unsure of the qualification numbers, but it looks like they only have one spot there, and I did not review that before here, but I believe.
I'm sorry. Oh, I see what you're saying. They can only send one team. Okay, that explains that then. Because the emphasis, putting so much emphasis on Zagreb, seems funny to me. Now, which team do you prefer?
Well, last season I would have told you Smart and Diaz. I don't really respond to their programs that much this season, but I think that they're both new teams, and it's hard because I feel like with Smart and Diaz they've been given more opportunities, but they haven't always skated well. So I understand why they would go with the other team, but at nationals, Smart and Diaz the other stronger teams, to me.
Yes, I think so. Perhaps the overall potential may be greater with the team that they're sending, but Smart and Diaz. Again, even though the music and the program in general is not a home run for me, it's a bit more unique. There's something very basic, I would say, about the Spanish dance they're doing for a free dance, and also like off the heels of a Latin short dance.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure why we decided to do a flamenco Spanish number for, the free dance. And it looks very like one of Julin's teams, whereas Smart and Diaz are a bit more Marie-France. They're not total Marie-France, in my opinion. So I tend to go for that aesthetic a bit more.
I do typically. I think overall Hurtado is a very, very strong ice dancer. She has a unique charisma.
A fire
to her. Maybe it's a little more Spanish, but but it feels a little expected to me. Although with so many Marie-France teams, you could argue that the other style is becoming, the more lyrical style is becoming expected as well.
Almost the more common. I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting though that this came down to perhaps politics between judging panels and Team Julin versus Team Marie-France.
Zagreb was a very pro-Julin situation.
And remember, Marie-France did not go to the Grand Prix final. She was in Zagreb, and that seemed to be a strategic move.
But it didn't seem to help. That's, it's a bit unfortunate.
Well, Smart and Diaz, I don't think they performed their best in Zagreb, though the score was, I think, the difference between the two teams might be something that people go back and review from time to time. But what did you think of the Italian pairs? I believe your favorite skater, Matteo Guaris, is going to the Olympics.
Yes, and now I'm just calling his partner, Nicole Sonogeloso, because I'm very jealous. Too. The interesting thing is, I don't know why I root for them so much. It's not necessarily in their style or execution of elements. Like, I think Valentina and Andre's throws are much cleaner. But Andre and Valentina almost had a very horrific accident when he nailed the triple Lutz and she fell on hers in the free, and he almost like skated blade right into her face on the run out of his jump, and she kind of fell into that that direction. And that rattled them in a way. I was rattled as a spectator, and to see everything just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
You could tell he especially was very spooked. The sow cows went down and they aborted the lift, and I don't know how they were able to get the throws out of it. And he was very shaken in the, kiss and cry and things like that. They seem to have they're the more talented pair, perhaps, but again, wildly inconsistent.
And I never have found that their programs have really utilized Valentina's performance skills. She's such an actress on the ice.
Correct. They're very surface. They barely scratch the surface of what really could be done.
What I like about the other team is that they kind of have. I know we have viewers who were roller skaters, but they have a bit of that roller skater. It's a little bit of a 70s. I
was just going to say it's
Central American flair. It's
yes, and it's sort of something about like a whole body tilt back and forth instead of a deep knee and a deep edge.
Yes,
and
they have the onesies, the one pieces that they wear.
Yeah,
and
continuing that aesthetic. Yeah, they're owning it and not apologizing for it, because they have, when they have their free legs out or their arms out, there is great strength in them. They're just not finished. Like the line of the free leg is good, and there is power in the free leg. It's just not finessed at the tips.
Yeah.
And so I was in Germany last week, and I was asked to go do this like opera like interview talk back thing with opera fans. Mm-hmm. And they ask you questions about opera and all these sorts of things. It's very drab, but I try to make it lively. And so they're asking me about repertoire, my training, all this sort of stuff. One guy raises his hand. He says, "Can you tell me about this skating lesson?" And I was like, excuse me, this random man in Germany? And he ended up being a nationally ranked ice dancer for Germany in the 70s.
Oh.
So I went to dinner at his house, and I was picking his brain. He was friends with Dagmar Lurtz and, competed with all of these people. Yeah, those that
you have a love for Dagmar Lurtz, too, because I edited that Linda Fradiani interview. If you haven't watched part 2, go watch it. It was released. You have a love for Miss Lurtz.
Oh, well, I was impressed by that triple loop. I'm not going to lie. She was a disaster at the Olympics, but that whole era is intriguing to me. And the ice dancer was also a competitive roller skater. He was like everyone back then in Germany, especially all the pairs and all the ice dancers. They did figure skating from the fall to the spring, and then roller skating the rest of the time. It was just so common that they just did both.
Well, think about those 4 wheels and how heavy they are on your feet.
Right.
This could be great cross training.
I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. You're going to fly across the ice.
Did you see that? Did you see the video of Haven and Brandon on the USFF YouTube where they showed clips of them roller skating? I was kind of excited by it, I have to say.
Oh, training. Yeah, it's like wearing ankle weights when you're when you
how do you? I was wondering, how did that conversation go? Were they like, "Do you want to switch from the floor to the ice?"
Amazing.
How do you go about having that conversation? I don't understand. I would like
maybe there was just a couple skates at their local disco night or something.
I want information there.
Yeah.
Also, I'm into the roller skating. It scares me more than falling on the ice and falling on the floor. But when you
absolutely,
loop jumps. That's why Tara had that good loop technique. I suspect they really
because it's all muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, and her sow cow technique also. But it really worked for her, and it had a lot of strength to it. But I'm like oddly impressed when I watch. I'm more impressed sometimes when I see roller skating than figure skating. Although the outfits are curious. But Jonathan, moving forward as we head to these national championships, money on it. Will we see Evgenia Medvedeva at Russian nationals?
Having her in the interview saying the cast has been off for 1 week and that her foot was numb initially, but now she has feeling in it again, I'm going to argue whether even she could doesn't mean she should. Are you crazy? If your foot was numb, don't do it.
I would give her every opportunity. I wouldn't even force her to go to Europeans if she doesn't want to. I would give her every opportunity to prepare. She's earned her spot.
And again, a tough competitor with mental resolve that doesn't need a test run competition in order to prove anything to herself or the world.
Yeah, so, I would let her be in on whatever her strategy is. If she wants to do one event in the team event, or if she wants to do two, I think she's earned the right to make that call. But I'm looking, what are your big questions as we move ahead to the next couple of weeks? I keep looking, social media, news, alerts. Will we see Patrick Chan at Nationals? We've heard he's in Vancouver. We don't really know much about his training, his coaching, any of that. I want him to skate. I think the viewers obviously want him to skate, loving his skating, but I think it's a big opportunity you could regret later on if you didn't try and go for it. So I kind of hope for him that he makes that decision, although maybe he's a different personality who wouldn't regret later on. But I think it's just such a big opportunity, a team medal. It could be a really big moment for Canada, and I think they have a great shot at winning the team event at the Olympic Games. And I would think that he'd want to be part of it and not sitting at home, perhaps being the reason that they don't win. I think that would be something that would be
unfortunate. That would be an unfortunate choice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. I think Patrick Chan could do 2 quad toes and 1 triple axel and score marvelously.
Absolutely. Carolina Costner approach. Yeah.
Yeah. And perhaps, have some sort of a situation there if he doesn't want to do the individual event. I think, again, he's earned that right with all that he's done for Skate Canada over the years to kind of make that decision. But I would hope that we will see him. I like his skating, and I hope so. But, yeah, what are you looking at?
Well, really, I mean, in the immediate future, I'm curious to see how some things still shake down at Russian Nationals. In terms of pairs placement, I mean, we assume Maria's on the team, but confirmation of that, the dance placement, I'm really, the men's placement, there's a lot of potential outcomes that can come from Russian Nationals. And of course, no matter what happens, I'll be sad for 2-3 people in the Japanese Ladies Nationals. So,
it's going to be a heartbreaker. But I think, people have used the word bloodbath, metaphorical bloodbath at these events. I remember even in 98, in 2002 in the U.S. when the ladies really went out there and all tried their hardest, and they all had good short programs, I remember, at Los Angeles Nationals. So it'll certainly be exciting. I think we'll see a lot of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Nice throwback, Dave.
And I think we're going to see a lot of dramatic ends to the performances at Russian
Oh my gosh,
Nationals.
wait, someone needs to talk to that about Evgenia, the agony of defeat, because her foot is the problem. Okay, sorry, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Pun of the day, Jonathan Byer. Pun of the day.
I've had better ones than that today, but okay.
Only pun of the day. You didn't get pun of the week or of the year.
Okay, fair enough.
One thing I wanted to say is that I am most curious to see Redionova at the Russian Nationals because she is one who will cry her eyes out and give her full self to the performance in Oksana fashion. It will be a scene. Tuktamisheva with these triple axels. All of these Russian juniors. We saw Trusova doing quad toes. How many jumps is she going to attempt? This is just going to be such I think we're going to see Annabelle Morozov.
They're all coming out of the woodwork for this.
They're coming out of the woodwork. Will Nikita drop his partner? What's going to happen? So I just, this is going to be quite the event. It's going to be skating's Christmas gift to you because I think there will be equal excitement and heartbreak over the next week, and I certainly look forward to discussing it with you, Jonathan.
I do as well, Dave.
Yeah, so as always, I want to remind everyone, our Christmas together. We'll have to wear Christmas sweaters for the upcoming show. And if
smart.
we could get a
My mom has many I can choose.
That would be great. Yeah. It could look like Muppet Family Christmas in front of sitting on the couch and fire at home. Well, as always, I want to remind you to hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.